Well, I really believe this. I said it before the game. Like, he did a lot of what he did all year in the first 2 games. It was just everybody was at the rim to challenge him. We made a couple shots that loosens up a little bit, and then we got some movement before the drive, which loosens it up a little bit. He's a really good player, and he's a really competitive guy, and so I'm not surprised when he plays well.
My coaches and my teammates, coach made adjustments, and he just put me in a better position to be successful. And first and foremost, I was just in attack mode. I was trying to do whatever it takes to win this game, and my teammates kept feeding me and putting me in the right spots, and the shots was falling. So that's all I did. I got the easy part. My teammates helped me out a lot, and coach does a great job at adjusting.
The Celtics win 111-103 in Game 3 of this first-round series against the Atlanta Hawks as Isaiah Thomas has a career-high 42 points. We're going to break this game down for you on the Garden Report, powered by
They gotta win!
Powered by SeatGeek on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
Yes, I'm the boss.
Welcome to the show. I am Jared Weiss, your valiant co-host. With me, as always, Jimothy Toscano.
As usual.
We're here to pay tribute to Purple Rain himself, Prince.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain.
Oh.
Ooh, yes. So we got Jeremy
Just
behind
lost
the
a lot of
camera.
viewers.
All the Facebook Live viewers. Oh, no, we got more viewers after dropping some rhymes there. So, the Celtics win. Isaiah Thomas has a career-high 42 points. Jonas Jerebko plays the greatest center performance of his career. Plays more than 30 minutes for the first time in 5 seasons.
Career night for Jerebko, too.
Five
Put
seasons.
it out there.
He hasn't played more than 30 minutes. He plays 37 minutes. But let's talk about Isaiah here in part 1. We'll talk about Jonas in part 2. They unleashed Isaiah by starting Evan Turner, and letting Evan Turner run point out of the post for a lot of this game, getting Isaiah off the ball and letting him run circles until he found his open look. And this time, instead of hitting finger rolls off the front of the rim, they were actually going into that.
The difference, our buddy Doc Rivers will tell you, it's a make or miss league. It's a make or miss league.
He will tell you that.
And I mean, early on in this game, you could tell the spacing was the biggest difference right off the bat, and that's exactly, oftentimes a team will put it in a game plan, and it might not work. This one seemed to work exactly how Brad Stevens wanted it to work, putting in Jerebko in there, putting in Turner, allowing Isaiah Thomas to be a little bit more free out there on the court, and you just saw the points start to rack up for these guys. They were hitting the open shots. That's something that they couldn't do last game. They couldn't get in the paint and hit anything last game, the last 2 games. And when you space the floor the way they did, and that's why not having Olynyk really hurts them, because he can space the floor clearly. That's why when they do space the floor like that, they're effective, and you can see it on both ends. Because Jerebko, as great as he was offensively, I know we're talking about Jerebko, but as great as he was offensively tonight, he really helped them defensively, and that helps Isaiah, because as we all know, Isaiah can be a bit of a liability on that defensive end.
I think he's doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
I mean, he did have to cover Jeff Teague a decent amount. Teague had a really good game, but
Teague
frankly,
and Schroeder had a good
Teague kind of did it to everybody on the team, whether it was Smart covering him or if Turner or Crowder ended up getting switched on him. No matter who was covering Jeff Teague, he was able to sidestep them. But Isaiah offensively, I think, did just about everything he possibly could. He was hitting the threes. What did he do? He had 5 threes in this game. He went 5 for 12 from deep and then 12 for 24 from the field. So he was almost perfect inside of the 3-point line. And he got to the free throw line 13 times tonight.
Yep.
He finally was able to draw fouls, and he actually hit pretty much all of his free throws. The way that he was able to get in the paint and then actually attack the rim just a little bit quicker, and maybe it's because he was getting that head start, because he was kind of getting the ball passed to him on his cuts a lot of the time, but he was able to meet Horford and Millsap and those guys at the rim a little bit earlier than he was in games 1 and 2, and that allowed him to get positions so that he could actually get off a clean look. While a lot of those guys were kind of smothering him in the air, he wasn't getting the same kind of clean look. But really a lot of it was just that he was missing layups that he usually would make, and a lot of the shots that he was missing in Atlanta, those were ones that were going in Boston.
Yeah, and it's like anything else. When you start to see a couple go in, you start to get in that flow, you start to get that confidence going. I think playing at home is huge for these guys. I mean, as much as they like playing on the road, I mean, when they're playing at home, they almost do look a little bit, not I want to say completely different, but they're just, that intensity, they feed off of it so much, because that's the type of guys they are. They're that gritty, clawing, energy guys. And when they can feed off the fans here, I think that just takes it to another level. And I think we saw that right off the bat. But with Isaiah, I mean, this guy, I mean, when you talk about just guys who can put the team on their back and just really step up, and Brad Stevens said after the game, there's no greener light than he has here, you know, and no pun intended with the color green. It's just that the guy can shoot. They'll let this guy shoot pretty much whenever, wherever, you know, within reason. But there comes points in the game where you just don't want the ball in anybody else's hands but his. And that was one of those games tonight where you just kind of had that feeling when he was going for 40, you know, like around, you know, early on in the third quarter when he was starting to creep up there, you're like, this guy's gonna go for 40. And a lot of people said he's gonna have to go for 40 if they want to win this game. And that might be true too, because there's just not a lot of other options offensively.
And I mean, he was the only one him and Amir Johnson were the only two that made more than half of their shots. Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier also made half of their shots. Jared Solinger went 1 for 2.
Had a really good
Smart was solid tonight. He got it done pretty much everywhere. He had 5 assists. He did commit 4 turnovers, which was definitely an issue. And he's wants to do that.
6 or 7 flops.
Yeah. The last flop he had, Kyle Korver, which I asked Korver about. Korver said, "It's happened 1,000 times in the series. I'm not that strong." Where
I think
Marcus
the refs
Smart
are a
ran
little
up to him
keen
and
to it.
exploded off of him. I think he's going to get a fine for that one, or because I think he's already gotten a warning. If I'm
He
not
might get
mistaken, that would
something.
apply to
I
it.
don't like the flopping by Smart, but in that instance, you're talking about what the offensive
That was
when
a
he went
rebound.
up for the
It
rebound.
didn't do anything for the team though in that instance.
No, but I don't mind him trying to get a foul there because maybe you do. Korver had 5 fouls at the time, and I mean, give it your best shot. Try to get that guy out of the game because he was, you know, the Kyle Korver that we've come to know and hate is the one that, you know, drains threes, you know, up and down, you know, all games. So I don't hate that flop, but generally speaking, I do hate the flops.
I don't think Marcus Smart cares whatsoever whether or not people care about him flopping.
No, he doesn't.
He's going to continue
That's
to
his
do it. He's
game.
going to find more creative ways to do it. The only downside to it is that he's not going to get the calls as much because he has a reputation for flopping.
Right.
But so be it. So lastly, before we go to part 2, do the Celtics go with the exact same game plan in the next game?
I think that they go with the same starting lineup for sure. I mean, you make the Hawks adjust to you. Right? What happened today? The Celtics had to adjust to the Hawks because the Hawks came out hard on them the first 2 games. The Celtics were playing catch up for pretty much the entire game for both games. The Celtics, for the first time in the series, had a lead to play with. They forced the Hawks to adjust to them. So now it's on the Hawks to come out with a game plan in Game 4 and try to counter what the Celtics are doing. You don't mess with success. You know what I mean? If you're the Celtics, you come out and you start doing the same thing. You got to come out strong. You got to come out. I'm not saying Jonas Jerebko is going to start the game off with a put-back dunk to start things off and take the roof off this place, but you set the tone early and you try to, you know, ride the momentum the rest of the way through. We can't not talk about if Isaiah Thomas is going to be in that game, though. Are we going to talk about that
We're
now?
going to lead part 2 with that one.
We're going to lead part 2 with that. Okay.
Stay here for part 2. Before we go, the Garden Report is powered by SeatGeek.
And we'll answer questions.
And we'll answer questions on the Facebook live stream. But go to SeatGeek to get tickets for Game 4 if you want to go to Game 4, and I can guarantee you it's sold out. So if you want to get tickets, go to SeatGeek. If you're a first-time user, use the code CelticsBeats, and you will get a $20 rebate off of your first purchase. So that is CelticsBeat is the rebate code. So we'll see you for part 2. Stay on this playlist,
right there.
on this YouTube channel, and we'll be right back on the Garden Report post-game show.
Tonight was just a game. I didn't care what happened. I was out there just trying to make the right play, make the winning plays, and do what I can to help this team win. Huh? Nah, I always tried to hit 40, so I'm glad I got there.